Welcome to the RockStar in Life podcast, where you learn the secrets to unleashing your inner rock star so you can make the world your stage. What's up, rock stars in life? It's Siri Shakti, and I have my co-host here,
Dr. Dan in the house.
Awesome. All right, guys.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to be talking about something that comes up for many of us as we, begin to set goals or we venture out to want to create something new and pursue some of our goals and dreams that we want to create. And that is, what ends up happening often once we get on that path is we see people that have created what it is that we want to create and they are already living it. And we go through that experience of comparing ourselves to others. And, in that comparison, you begin to see not only what it is that you want, but oftentimes it's also what holds us back the most. Right, Dan?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Each of us have dreams and goals and things that we want to create. But in this comparison, oftentimes what happens is this is what ends up actually keeping us back from really getting into creating our dreams and pursuing it. And we hold back because we feel like we maybe don't have the ability to create, what they've created, or, we question our ability to be that great. Right?
Yeah. Well, because I think a good example, I know you recently went through this. I know for myself, when I was first starting out in my journey and I decided what I wanted to do and I knew what my mission and my purpose in life was. And this is part of it, what we're doing right now. And I remember many years ago, I guess I'd have to break out the calculator, or I already had my shoes off so I could count some toes, but I don't want to make you guys wait here for that. But over 10, 20, maybe 10 plus years ago, I decided to kind of take this journey. It was probably like 15 years or something like that, if I really counted it up. I don't know, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And I remember somebody I was modeling after was Tony Robbins. I saw just the impact he had on my life and other people in the world, and super fortunate enough and blessed to have been able to spend time with him and hang out with him and kind of get to know him a little bit. And I remember just thinking man, I can never be that good. I can never get on stage and speak like that. I'm too afraid, I've mentioned before, in school, my whole life, if there was a book report or something, I had to stand in front of the class and do a book report or whatever the heck they wanted you to do, I would just take the F. I'd be like, no, forgot it. I'm not going to do it. Heck, even when I was a personal trainer and, the gym had asked me, cause they said I was their best trainer or whatever, I was a popular trainer. I was the biggest guy in the gym, and people were like, I want muscles like you, And I remember that they wanted me to speak in a small group. There was maybe 10, 15 people or something like that. And I was too afraid, I was just like, oh, no, you do it. I was like, I can't do it. I just never done that where I spoke in front of, groups, and I was just too afraid.
Yeah.
So I couldn't see myself being able to do that. But we don't see what others have had to, overcome in their entire lives. We have no idea what challenges they had. We don't get to see, typically you don't get to see their first, time speaking on stage or, in front of a group where people are like, oh, I remember that guy, he sucked so bad. He just tanked. He bombed. And I know for me, and you remember some of these. I remember one of them you weren't there for, which was probably my worst.
Oh no.
And I spoke in front of, I think it was maybe 30 or 40 people in a room, and it was all about me. There was not going to be any other speakers. And And what happened was, long story short, what happened was I had what I was going to talk about planned. I had, slides set up. Well, first they told me, well, I don't even know if I'll have a projector. And I'm like, seriously, because I need notes because my ADHD, my ADD, it'll kick in and I just won't remember what I was going to say. So I'm like, where am I going to put my notes? I need a screen. I need to look up every now and then and figure out what I'm going to say. And then they confused me by saying like, oh, I hear what you're going to be talking about, but you should do this instead. I just saw this other speaker on stage and they talked about this other stuff and they did it this way and you tease people and all this other stuff. And I was like, don't give them the juice. Don't give it to them,
Oh, boy.
Don't tell them, whatever your secrets are. Just tease them about it. So you don't tell them what it is. You build it up to what it is, but you don't tell them. And I'm just like, I've got like 4 hours until I'm going on stage. And now I'm supposed to what? And
You're all confused.
Yeah. And I made the mistake, I made the mistake of, and I had already hadn't like honed my skills yet. And I made the mistake of trying to change everything instead of just sticking to what I knew. But my point is that, I tanked really bad. I bombed really bad on that, but I learned a lesson from it. And I never do that anymore. Now it's, I speak on what I want to speak on, what I feel is important. If somebody says, hey, can we do like an interview or can you speak on this topic? Then if I'm an expert in it, if I understand it and I've accomplished it in my life, then yes, I will do it. But I'm going to do it my way. I'm not going to do this little tease thing or whatever, I'm just going to give it to them. But my point is like, you remember our first videos. You probably remember the first, when I say you, I'm talking about Siri Shakti.
Yes, I
sitting
remember.
across the table from me. You remember some of our YouTube videos. And my very first YouTube video that was like I think it was like 15 minutes long, maybe even longer. And this is back when YouTube limited you to 10 minutes and you couldn't go past 10 minutes. And I think it was like 2006 or something like that, 2007, somewhere around there. And I remember having to edit that down to under 10 minutes and that was really hard. But man, I cringe when I see that video. I think I made it unlisted now. I have some old videos on there, but they're not as bad. But it just reminds you of where you came from.
Yes.
So you never know, what it took for that person to get there.
Yeah.
That you look at and you're like, oh, they're amazing. I wish I could be like that. I could never do what they do.
Yeah.
Well, you never know what you're capable of until you get out there and do it. Just like we were just talking about a second ago, we were joking, right? We're saying like, baking a pizza. If you get the dough, whether you make it yourself or you pre-purchase it, it's going to be soft and gooey, right? Soft and gooey. And it's going to be like kind of softer than Play-Doh, right? It's going to be like really, really soft. But, and that's where you are when you're starting out. So you see this baked pizza and you're like, oh, that's a masterpiece. That looks so good and delicious. And if you compare yourself to this cooked pizza, you're mushy and gushy and they're not,
Yeah.
So you need to put yourself in the oven.
They've baked for a while.
Yeah. Put yourself in the oven. We'll preheat it to 350 or 400 or whatever that number is and bake it. And it takes time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
But don't get in the oven, really. That was just kind of a metaphor.
Please. Yeah. We should give a warning out. Yeah.
Warning, don't get in the oven.
I love what you said about, and I've thought about this many times over the years, different teachers that I've learned from. I would always think like, wow, look at where they are. Like look at the life they live. Look at how many people they help. Like, because I'm referring to like, to like you said, Tony Robbins. Yep. And I know like our teacher, Guru Singh, who teaches Kundalini Yoga and speaks all over the world. And I remember especially when I was first getting into Kundalini Yoga, I'm still just fascinated by him and his wife, but especially back then, I was like, how do they live like this? How do they do what they do? And I was so new to all of that it was just like super inspiring to me. But at the same time, I doubted myself and my ability to be able to live that type of lifestyle and to be able to create that in my home with my family. And it was just little by little, step by step, and I'm still working on it. We're still all growing, right? Never stop growing.
Yeah, you don't see, and you also don't see the challenges in their life, because it's not like they go, I mean, who here goes, oh, today really sucks, so I'm going to go ahead and Facebook Live this or Instagram Live, or I'm going to stream this, or I'm going to take a video or type out all the things that went wrong today. I mean, yeah, there are those people, but usually people don't follow them.
Right.
But, I mean, how many people do you know that do that? I mean, you're listening to this episode right now, and just a couple minutes before this, because, today we went to this Veggie Fest here in Orange County. It was a nice day. Yesterday we had a pool party and we had everybody over and we had a great time. So between yesterday and today, we were just like, oh, we really got to do this, don't we? And we're just like,
we're all grumpy.
I'm making like faces, and Siri Shakti is like saying something, and I say something, and then she says something, and then she like slaps me.
No, I was like getting all irritated with him.
Punches me and beats me and then threatens me with a sword. And I'm like, are you serious? Seriously?
I did. Yeah, I threatened you with my dagger.
With her dagger, yeah.
I keep it on my hip all the time, You never know.
Never know.
Yeah, and actually, because I was talking about Guru Singh, our teacher, I remember always thinking like, oh, he's, because I see him how he is now. And I've always thought like, that's just how he's always been. And then a few years ago, his biography came out, and I think I've read that thing like 4 times now. And I got to read some of the key experiences that helped him grow into who he is today. And I'll tell you what, a majority of those were super challenging, hard, painful experiences. And they chiseled away like making a beautiful diamond to who he is today. And, so that's really what this comes down to, is that, it's one thing, like we all experience jealousy at times, and jealousy is not a bad thing. I mean,
or envy and jealousy, either of those.
I mean, maybe if you just stay in that altogether and you don't move out of that sensation, that feeling. But envy and jealous are there for a reason. They're a messenger. They're telling you, they're giving you a signal that what you're seeing in another, or in an experience is something that you desire, that you want for yourself. And it's also another signal telling you that you can have that, or else you wouldn't have that desire and that jealousy.
Well, it's like if you have the desire, we'll use the word desire, even though I don't think we ever would. If you have the desire to drink water,
right,
you wouldn't have the desire. We wouldn't call it that, but you would say you're thirsty.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what it is you desire some water.
Yeah.
You want some water because you're thirsty. Your throat is dry, you got a little cough, whatever, or you just dehydrated and you need some water. Well, now you have the desire for water. So are you supposed to go, desire is bad, I shall not drink water because I desire it? No, of course not.
No.
Exactly. So you take a sip of it. It's something that your body needs.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what we're talking about. This is something that you need in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time where I desired, like a helicopter and all this stuff. And who knows, maybe I will still get those things. I don't know. Right now, I don't really desire them. If somebody said, hey, here's a free helicopter, I might take it. I don't know, because I would sell it probably, because I wouldn't be in it. I don't even drive a car that often.
Yeah.
So
I think if you got a free helicopter, I'd sell it, because I don't really want to go in a helicopter.
No. Well, the maintenance and, and the storage and all that on top of that. But yeah, but bottom line is, if you desire those things, whatever it is you desire, there's a reason why. And you don't need to push those desires down and say like, oh, I don't want those things, or, that's bad to want that stuff or desire or be envious of somebody else. I remember back when we lived in Northern California in the Bay Area, I remember we would go to, certain friends' houses or parties. And one of them was, remember the plastic surgeon?
Oh, yeah.
Dr. D?
Dr. D.
They call him Dr. D.
Yeah.
And I remember going to his house, and I think it was in the hills of Alamo, and we're just like, whoa, this house is like amazing, you know?
Yeah.
And I desired those kind of things. And I didn't sit there and go, oh, you know, like, you know, I didn't sit there and go, oh, he's just lucky or whatever. No, it was something like, this will be nice when we have it.
Yeah. Yeah. And we kept moving forward and created that for ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a bigger house. He has a bigger backyard though, because he had his helicopter on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
I don't remember.
We can't have helicopters in our backyard here, anyways, in Coto de Casa. Ain't gonna happen.
Our neighbors might not like us.
No, but I do have a drone.
They already don't like how loud we are when we swim in our pool with our kids.
Yeah, they don't even like the drone actually, because I remember I flew it last year. I was flying it, and I was taking a video and pictures of the kids and stuff in the pool, and I remember seeing our neighbor, like she was laying on the couch and she was like swatting. And I was like, I couldn't figure out what she was doing. She was like swatting with her newspaper. I think she thought it was bees. Like, oh, there's a bunch of bees around me or something.
Because the buzzing
sound.
Yeah,
the buzzing. It wasn't even close. It was like, it was over our backyard.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah,
anyways.
Yeah. 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 You know, and I have an experience recently that's come up for me that, you know, we'll kind of share with you how we go through this as well. And so a few weeks ago, I went through a certification to learn Reiki, which is comes from like ancient Japan, and it's like a form of energy healing. It's really powerful, beautiful, beautiful practice. And then a week ago, just last weekend, I went through what is called Crystal Academy, and it's the art of using crystals, you know, gemstones on the body for healing purposes. And I mean, that event was just absolutely beautiful. And it was taught by a teacher named Sat Dave Beer, and including the Reiki course. So, you know, I went to these two courses, and I definitely experienced that feeling of jealousy. And I wouldn't even say it was full on jealousy. It was more just like seeing something that I want to do. He works one-on-one with clients, is very successful with working with these beautiful healing, I would call it arts almost. I mean, they're just absolutely amazing. And, you know, so here he works with clients. He's very experienced. He knows what he's doing. And so I came home and I thought, I want to do this too. I want to help people. I want to work with people in this way. But that little voice, it's the negative mind came out. It's like, you know, saying things like, you know, who do you think you are to, you know, do this? Or, you know, you won't be able to do it as good as he does it.
You suck.
Wait a minute, I'm hearing the voice again. It was you the whole time.
It was. I was doing it when you were sleeping.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Good job. No. So, and then the other side of me, which I would say is the positive mind, which, you know, we talk about in Kundalini Yoga. We all have the negative mind and the positive mind and then the neutral mind. But my positive mind always like a cheerleader saying to me, you can do this, you know, and what I truly know in my core is that he started, there was a beginning to his journey as well. And there's a beginning to mine. And I'm just going to keep learning and begin working with clients and just do the best that I can. And I know that each client I work with is just going to get better and better. And also what I realize is that each one of us, like, you know, for instance, him, he also puts a lot of his own authentic self into working with his clients. And I'm going to discover as I begin doing this, you know, my own authentic way of going about working with people. And I want to give myself the chance to figure out what that looks like. And if I hold back because I'm nervous that I won't be perfect, you know, then I'll never see what beautiful gifts I have within me to be able to work with people.
Yeah. And it's a balance, because that, and we've talked about this in past episodes, that this, not negative, I know you called it the negative mind, which it is part of, but it also serves you because it forces you to prepare.
Yes.
Now, obviously, there's a point to where that balance comes in to where it's like, okay, I've prepared as much as I can. Now I need to take that leap.
Yes.
You'll still have those doubts, but at some point you have to take that leap. But
Yes.
it forces you to prepare. So in other words, if you didn't have that voice in the back of your head, then you would have just said, oh, I'm going to start working with people now.
Yes.
And then you might have went out and, and killed somebody with a crystal on accident. Just kidding.
I don't know about that. Yeah. And when I say negative mind, see, I'm really familiar with using this term a lot. Negative mind doesn't mean it's a bad thing because that part of us, it serves a purpose, like you were saying. And what I really got from it is this was encouraging me to pay attention. And so I don't look at it as a bad thing, like, oh, I was feeling, doubtful of myself.
Exactly.
It kind of actually, inspired me in a way to push forward.
Yeah. And and again, you need it. It serves you.
Yeah.
Just like, the fear we talk about is, if you're close to a ledge and you have that fear of, oh, what if I, fall over that ledge? If you didn't have that fear, then you just walk right to the edge, trip, fall.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be cautious at all.
Yeah.
You just trip and fall. Right.
And I know there was something that you've said many times over the years about like putting on your blinders. Do you want to explain?
Just put on your blinders. Well, I remember this all the time. I don't know if I heard it from somebody else or not. I can't remember. I mean, I'm sure somebody else has talked about this as well, but it's something that I've kind of like added to my arsenal of things like a mantra for me to remember. And it's basically focusing. Mm-hmm. And I say, put on my blinders and just move forward. And what that means is, like, if you've ever seen those horses, like in New York or San Francisco, where they do like a carriage ride or, something like that, they have the things on the, I don't even know what they're called, blinders, I guess. They go on the horse's head.
Yeah.
And they don't allow them to see side to side. So it completely cuts out their side vision. Right. Yeah. And it only allows them to look forward. And that's how I think of it for myself, is I don't allow myself to get distracted by anything else, whether it be negativity from myself, from others, internal stuff going on. When I'm ready to focus, put on the blinders and just keep pushing forward to my goal.
Yes.
And again, things are going to happen. Challenges might arise. You might get knocked down. You might get a cold or something. And you're cleansing, you might have, some family thing that you have to take care of, or you just might feel really tired for a couple of days and you might need to take a break. But once you're ready, you jump back up and you put on those blinders and you just keep pushing forward.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And also that has helped me because, and I'm going to use it. I was even reflecting on that today. I'm going to use that principle because in what I'm working on currently, when I do have the doubt that comes up or, things that want to take me away from work, moving forward with this and working on it, I'm just going to put the blinders on and not pay attention to the things that come up in my head, like, because I definitely, that has had been a big one for me, is that voice of, saying like, you can't do it, things like that. And I know that that's not true. But I'm
You can't do it.
Okay. That's enough of that. So I'm going to put on my blinders and just focus in and keep moving forward.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of when we were talking about this earlier, me and you, before we decided to do this episode. It reminded me of a quote that Michael Jokson. Who's Michael
that?
Jordan. I think I was starting to say Jackson, but Jordan, like together, Jokson.
Right.
So Michael Jordan had actually said, and when I was looking it up to see exactly how he said it, it actually pulled up something as well, but it was pulling up some stats saying he, like, something like, at the time when this was written, it said like Michael Jordan had lost almost 300 games. And that's more games than many NBA players actually have court time. He's missed over 9,000 shots. Again, more shots than the average NBA player even has ever taken.
Wow.
26 times he was given the ball to take the game-winning shot and missed, like at the last buzzer when it was like 26 times,
Wow.
and people recognize him as being one of the best basketball players of all time,
Yeah.
And one of the quotes I heard him say a while back, and I think I read it in one of his books as well, was something like, he missed 100% of the shots he never took. If you don't take those shots, then you'll never make a shot.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. Yeah. And these desires are like, we said, they're in you for a reason. They want to come forward and be a reality in your life. And you deserve that. That's what life is about. So, we should all help one another and support each other in blossoming and creating what it is that we want for our life, and not being our own worst enemy and holding us back from being able to live our dreams. I don't want to sound all woo-woo, but that's seriously true. Living our dreams and our purpose.
Well, sometimes you have to be all woo-woo. So
well, I'm going woo-woo, so that happened.
Well, I've always been woo-woo, so and it works. So I'm not going to stop being woo-woo. But it really is about the journey and not the destination. Mm-hmm. Because how many people have you heard of that like won the lottery, or or celebrities that make millions of dollars on films, or or professional athletes, and and people look at them and just go, they threw that all away, over a scandal or something they did. They got into a fight or something, and they got kicked off the team, or or whatever it might be, or they got addicted to drugs, but they're so successful because it's about the journey and not the destination. Mm-hmm. I mean, all the things that I've had in my life. Remember the first time I got like my first like beautiful sports car, and I was sitting there and I was driving it, and I was just like, okay, when am I going to start feeling great? I mean, there'd be like times where you're like, oh yeah, this is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. I feel good. But then there's times you're like, all right, it's a car,
Yeah. 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 And, there was something I was going to tell everyone too.
I'm sure it was great.
Oh, where was it?
Sure,
yes. I remembered. It came to me. Okay. What you were just saying, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Well, I had that experience as well. Just last weekend when I was at that Crystal Academy event, there was this woman that I met, really sweet lady, and she has 3 young children. I think her kids are all like 6 and under. And she's just beginning her homeschool journey with her children. And so I shared with her that, we've been homeschooling, and she asked how long. And I told her we've been doing this, the whole time. My oldest is going to be 17 soon. And I saw her eyes light up, and we ended up talking for about an hour, and we could have gone longer, but we had to go back. This was during lunch break. We had to go back to our class. But it was interesting because I actually saw myself in her years ago when I first started. And I remember talking to women that were experienced in homeschooling the way she was talking to me. And she was asking me so many questions, and a little light bulb went off in me that realized, oh my gosh, I did this. I did it. And it was like, I'm still homeschooling, but like, our kids have come so far. We have come so far. And now like homeschooling is like a piece of cake. I mean, I can't believe I'm even saying that, because if I would have gone back like 7 years ago, I'm like, whoa, homeschool will never be a piece of cake.
Yeah, no,
but it is now,
Yep.
And, so we had this beautiful conversation, and there's a few things I took from that. But one thing that was very real for me was I realized that I had gone through so many challenges in our homeschool journey trying to figure out, but I didn't give up. I kept going. And now, because I went through all that, I can share with others how to get through those same obstacles. So for me, it's not about the destination, although it's great where we're at. But looking back at the journey, I'm so grateful for the good times, for the challenges, because it's really what carved, and created where we're at now as a homeschool family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. So is there anything else you want to mention before we get into the RockStar mission for today?
I think that's it. That
Awesome.
is it. Yes.
All right. Well, before we get into our RockStar mission for today, don't forget to go to rockstarinlife.com for links to the resources mentioned in this episode's transcript. Download the free books, training, yoga, meditation, homeschooling advice, and so much more that we're adding every single week. Go to rockstarinlife.com and join the Rockstar in Life revolution today.
All right. Okay, so your Rockstar mission for today. I want you to sit down with a piece of paper and I want you to reflect back on your life. Write down a time in your life when you were maybe a little bit hard on yourself or maybe a lot hard on yourself.
Or you doubted yourself.
Yes. Or you doubt yourself. Maybe you were comparing yourself to someone else, just like we talked about. And in your heart, I want you to make a commitment to yourself to not be so hard on yourself, to recognize that when you see something that you want, or maybe in another person, something, that someone has created, a lifestyle they're living now, whatever it is, recognize that, it took a while for that person to create where they're at now and what they have.
Or to become that person.
Right? And give yourself the space, allow yourself the time to take the steps and to also grow into that and become
a pizza.
Become a pizza. A nice baked pizza.
Exactly.
Yeah, with a nice crunchy crust.
Exactly.
I'm understanding that they get what we're trying to say. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
All right, guys. Well, don't forget to get out there and be a rock star in your life.
Make the world your stage.
Thanks for listening to Rockstar in Life, your source for unleashing your inner rock star. For more tips, training, and free stuff, be sure to go to rockstarinlife.com and join the Rockstar in Life revolution today. Thanks again, and don't forget to make the world your stage.